Hello, beautiful people. It is I, Mrs. S, coming to you live from school, reading you the story and novel terms you're going to need to know for your English 11 final. First one is point of view. The writer selects the point of view from which to tell the story that best suits his or her intentions as a writer. Next term is first person. I is the central character and tells his or her own story. The next term is under third person, where the point of view can be one of, first, omniscient, spelled O-M-N-I-S-C-I-E-N-T. That's where characters are referred to as he and she, and the reader knows what is going on in their heads. All characters' thoughts are made clear in the text. The next one is limited omniscient. Characters are referred to as he and she, and the reader knows what is going on in some of their heads. The remaining characters are treated in the objective fashion, kind of like in a game where they're just, sitting there and they know some information and they provide some information to the main character, but they aren't actually integral to the story, and so we don't know what's going on in their heads. The next one is objective. The story is about he or she, and the author records action objectively, as a movie camera would. The reader does not see any of their characters' thoughts. They don't get inside their heads. The next terms that we need to know are free verse. This is a type of poem. Free verse is modern poetry that has no regular pattern of rhythm, rhyme, or line length. Free verse poems experiment with words to create images for the reader. And that was free verse. The next terms we need to know are onomatopoeia, or onomatopoeia. And that is spelled O-N-O-M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Words that sound like what they mean are called onomatopoeia. Buzz, hiss, splash are typical examples of this sound device. Onomatopoeia is also known as imitative harmony. The next word you need to know is extended metaphor. If a metaphor is a direct comparison between two dissimilar items, an extended metaphor is a longer version of the same thing. In an extended metaphor, the comparison is stretched through an entire stanza or poem, often by multiple comparisons of unlike objects or ideas. Metaphor, a direct comparison between two dissimilar items. She is a monster is a metaphor comparing a girl to a monster. Metonymy, spelled M-E-T-O-N-Y-M-Y. This is a type of metaphor in which a reference point is substituted for the thing to which reference is actually made. The pen is mightier than the sword. The kettle is boiling, and I love reading Shakespeare are three examples of metonymy. Personification, a comparison between a non-human item and a human so that the non-human item is given human characteristics. The trees stretched their arms to the sky is a personification because the trees are described as if they are people stretching. Simile, a comparison between two dissimilar items using like or as to make the comparison. The stars are like diamonds in the sky is a simile. Comparing stars to diamonds. Simile is spelled S-I-M-I-L-E. The next word to remember is allusion, A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N. A reference in one piece of literature to something from another piece of literature. Allusions can also be references to person/events/places in history, religion, or myth. Allusions are frequently made in poetry, but they can and do occur in other genres as well. The next word in wordplay is apostrophe. A-P-O-S-T-R-O-P-H-E. It's a rhetorical figure in which the speaker addresses a dead or absent person or an abstraction or inanimate object. For example, the speaker in John Donne's Holy Sonnet X speaks to death as if it were a person. Oh, death. The next term for you to know is euphemism, spelled EUPHEMISM. This is substituting a pleasant or polite word or phrase for an unpleasant reality. For example, people say, she passed over, she passed away, or she has gone to her reward, when they mean she died. The next word is hyperbole, spelled HYPERBOLE. A deliberate exaggeration to make a point. I am hungry enough to eat the fridge is a hyperbole, believe it or not. The next term is oxymoron, OXYMORON. An oxymoron is a pair of single word opposites placed side by side for dramatic effect. Dun, dun, dun. A contradiction in terms. For example, cold fire, or sick health, or jumbo shrimp. The next term that you need to remember is paradox, PARADOX, a large oxymoron, an apparently contradictory statement that, despite the contradiction, has an element of truth in it. Wordsworth's "the child is the father of the man" is a paradoxical statement. The next term is symbol, SYMBOL, something that represents something else. For example, a dove often represents the concept of peace. The next term to know is in rhythm and rhyme, blank verse, unrhymed iambic pentameter. All sonnets, Shakespearean plays, and the King James Version of the Bible are written in blank verse. Unrhymed iambic pentameter is said to closely mimic the cadences of natural speech. See below for more information on iambic pentameter. And I will let you know if there are more terms to learn under iambic pentameter, and there are not. Okay, the next things you need to know are drama. In the most general sense, drama is work designed to be represented on a stage by actors. More strictly, however, a drama is a serious play, though it may end either happily or unhappily, dealing with a problem of importance. The next term is dramatic form. This refers to the organization of the writing in a script, whereby the speakers are listed, their speech is written, and stage directions tell the actors how to deliver their lines. The beginning of each scene or act also has information detailing what the stage should look like. The next term you need to know is dramatis personae. That is spelled DRAMATIS, and the next word is PERSONAE. The list of characters in a play, so the audience knows who is who before the action begins, provided at the beginning of the play's script. Play, the performed dramatic production seen on stage in live theater. The next term is script, the words printed on paper spoken by the actors. The next word is act, a chunk of the play's action. Shakespeare's plays always have 5 acts that are noted with a large Roman numeral, which of course you all know how to interpret and do, right? Roman numerals? Totally. The next word is scene, a division of action within an act. Shakespeare's plays have a variety of numbers of scenes that are noted with a small Roman numeral. The next word is line, a single line of writing in a play noted with Arabic numbers. The next term you need to know is pathetic fallacy, spelled PATHETIC. Next word, FALLACY. This is an artistic device whereby nature reflects a character's feelings and/or the mood of the events in the literature, which means pathetic fallacy is a setting reinforcement. Because it is just a reflection, pathetic fallacy also passions of a because it's just a reflection, pathetic fallacy also falls short of full personification. Pathetic fallacy carries over the moods and passions of a human being to inanimate objects, or, more particularly, mirrors human emotion in nature, animals, or objects. For example, nature must be gladsome when I was so happy, or nature weeps for a given character's sorrow, as a reference to rain. The next term is stage direction, a direction by the playwright to the actors in the script. It indicates how the actor should speak and or move during a particular line or scene. It also provides descriptions of what the stage should look like in terms of furniture, weather, lighting, music, etc. The next term for you to know is monologue. Monologue, a single fictional speaker, usually a performance actor, gives an extended speech, either as if alone on stage, like a Shakespearean soliloquy, or as if speaking to a fictional audience. The personality of the character and significant events in his or her life are revealed by the speech. If the speaker delivers the monologue to a fictional audience, the reader also gets information about that audience because the monologue's comments and questions allow the reader to infer information in that area, also known as monodrama. I am in a state right now of monodrama. Okay, the next term for you to know is dialogue, dialogue. When two or more speakers speak to one another, the spoken exchanges that comprise a play. The next term you need to know is interior monologue, spelled INTERIOR, next word, MONOLOGUE. The depiction of the thoughts and feelings that flow with no apparent logic through the mind of a character. Although the term is essentially interchangeable with stream of consciousness, it has been argued that an interior monologue is an even more direct depiction of the character's consciousness. The next term is pathos, PATHOS. The quality in a work of literature that evokes feelings of pity, tenderness, and sympathy from the reader. A pathetic object, such as Lady Macbeth, by the end of the play in Shakespeare's Macbeth, usually suffers helplessly, but a tragic hero's death is too great a fall to be described as pathetic, which is why it is tragic. The next term for you to know is dramatic irony. When a character says something, but the audience knows more than the character does about our other characters or events, so the statement comes across with a double meaning that the audience gets and the character doesn't. It is dramatic irony when Juliet first sees Romeo and says if she can't marry him, she will die, because the audience knows that by the end of the play she does marry him and she dies anyway. The character's expectations and the audience's knowledge differ in dramatic irony. The next term for you to know is farce, FARCE. The word refers to any play which evokes laughter by such devices of low comedy as physical buffoonery, rough wit, ridiculous situations, or slapstick behaviors. Farce is not concerned with character subtlety or plot probability. Farce is simply out to get a laugh any way it can. The next term is melodrama, MELODRAMA. In terms of character, melodrama is a play of extremes. The incredibly evil villain plots against the supremely virtuous hero or heroine in an action that depicts the conflict between the polar opposites of good and evil. There is little subtlety in a melodrama and little complexity of character, but extremes of emotion attract the audience. And I think that may be the end of the terms, folks. So good luck on your English final. I will be in the room, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Have a great weekend.